Please join me for a salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. First, I want to make an announcement to welcome Nicole Emery to the Select Board, who won the recent election, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
It's dull here, there's really nothing going on, so great time to start. All right, we're here today at 10 o'clock to discuss the vacancy that's going to be coming to the town manager. Scott is going to be going to Kingston. Congratulations, Scott. Thank you for your work for the town of Abington. So, item one is notice of vacancy in the office of town manager. We need to discuss, vote, and talk about appointing an interim town manager. When it became apparent that Scott was going to be moving on, I started looking around at, who we could bring in on an interim basis, and then, of course, I looked to my right and realized we have someone with the most experience of any town manager in the business with Kevin Donovan. So I reached out to him, and he kind of did the search. And Kevin, I want to hand it to you if I could, and you
Sure.
can take it from there.
Essentially, in fact, I just finished an interim appointment in Hanson. But interim appointments are just that. They're just for the short duration until such time as a permanent position is brought on board. There are very few people out there. They're usually former town administrators that have been retired or what have you. And with that said, I was able to contact Mike Moresco, formerly of Marshfield. Mike would be available, and he's available for the interregnum between now and when we finally appoint a permanent town manager, which we're going to be going through the processes today. But from that standpoint, we've had Labor Council draw up an interim contract, which is essentially a boiled-down version that simply states, you'll start work next Monday, December 8th. For my intention was originally, and when I discussed with Michael, was that Scott, the anticipated start date in Kingston will probably be on or around the first of the calendar year. The intent being is that Michael will serve as an interim capacity for at least 2 weeks part-time with Scott. Now, the last 2 weeks of December, as we know, are Christmas and New Year, so those are short, basically throwaway weeks as far as I'm concerned. So I want to make sure that that there's an overlap here, so Scott can educate Michael as to what the problems are, what the problems we face, the personalities, introduce them to the various department heads, and it'll be originally on a part-time basis, 20 hours a week for the first couple of weeks, and then morph into full-time, and once Scott leaves, until such time as we fill the position on a permanent basis. So with that said, I would move we approve the employment agreement between Michael Moresco and the town of Abington for the salary at Scott's rate at $91.11 per hour for part-time work, and then morph into the full-time, as I've just stated. So that's my motion as far as the contract goes.
Any questions by anybody on the board on that motion?
Nope.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous.
And Michael's here if you...
Mike, you want to come up? I'd like to introduce our interim town manager, Mike Moresco.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see everyone. I'm looking forward to having some time to sit down and talk to everyone. Once I get situated here, I'm going to be here on Monday, so I'll be scheduling some time to really get to meet everyone. I want to say thank you to the board. I'm looking forward to my interim appointment. Spent some time getting familiar with Abington. Beautiful facilities. We've got some great staff. The staff, as everyone knows, in the department heads, the backbone. They're the people that live in the trenches, providing great services for residents. So I look forward to working with the board and with the department heads.
Great, Mike, we might as well get these over to you. Right now, Mike's just signing his interim contract with the board, in the town, I should say, and then we'll move on to our next agenda item promptly. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that the fire chief's in the front row today. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Next on the agenda is discussion number 3, discussion votes on town manager search committee process, including dates and advertisement for the search committee, advertisement for the town manager, select board representation on the committee. I'm going to hand this right to Kevin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to the charter, when there's a vacancy in the office of town manager, the town is obligated to establish a search committee of 7 residents, 1 member of the school committee appointed by it, and 1 member of the finance committee appointed by it, and 5 residents of the community. Now, over the course of time, I've been on search committees, I've been interviewed by search committees, and in all cases, there's been representation from the Board of Selectmen. It makes no sense to me that this wasn't embodied in the charter. Now, people can disagree with that, that's fine, but that's my opinion. And when we go through this, I've got a sort of a laundry list of things I'm going to be suggesting as part of the motion, and one of which will be to deal with the selectmen representation on the committee. Pursuant to the statute, because the selectmen is the parent board of appointing, we cannot have a majority of the selectmen on the search committee. So keep that in mind as we go through this. So as part of my motion, and I'm going to go through this, and I'm offering it in the form of a motion, that that pursuant to the town charter, a 7-member town manager search committee will be appointed by the select board. The committee shall consist of, as I stated, the school committee, member of the school committee, member of the finance committee, and 5 residents. Persons interested, and then we're going to ratify the advertisement that was already in place. Persons that are interested should submit their applications through the town website on or before Monday, December 15th. Appointments to the search committee will be made by the Board of Selectmen at a special selectmen's meeting that I'm proposing be called for Tuesday, December 23rd. That we would, at that stage of the game, I'm just reading on here, we're going to ratify the advertisement for the town manager vacancy shortly. The search committee would be appointed by the 23rd. Applicants for town manager will have 4 weeks to submit their resumes until Monday, January 5th, 2026. That's a standard in the industry of a 4-week period. So that gives people, it's already up on the Mass Municipal Association website, it gives people the ability to apply 4 weeks' worth. I'm going to propose that the first meeting of the search committee be called for Tuesday, January 6th. The deadline for applications is Monday the 5th. Tuesday the 6th at 7 p.m., the search committee will be convened for the purposes of organizing itself, deciding future meeting dates, and enter into executive session, at which point they'll, for the purposes of receiving all the applications. Now, the search committee will be charged with whittling down the applications and deciding how many of those they wish to interview. Based on experience, I can say to everybody involved that that is usually a day-long process. So hence in the ad, you see the advertisement to alert people to the effect if you want to apply. Again, depending on everybody's schedule, it may be if everybody's available on the weekday, which probably is not the case, or a weekend, generally speaking, a Saturday, you're going to be at it pretty much all day. And the reason for an all-day session is that if you try and interview people at night, you can't get much done. And by the time 10 o'clock rolls around, everybody's running out of gas. So historically, in anything I've been involved in, it's usually been on a Saturday or during the week, and so the committee can operate on a full-day basis. With that said, once the committee organizes itself on Tuesday, January 6th, they have the applications, they decide how they're going to administer that, that we would request that they submit their recommendations, no less than 3 pursuant to the charter, on or before January 26th. So that gives them essentially 20 days to deal with that. Now, if they need more time, that can be considered, but I think we have to keep in mind, we're dealing with a very tough fiscal year. We're dealing with the fact that we have to craft a town budget. We're right in the throes of that. So in order to do that, we have to be vigilant and try and make this process as seamless as possible to ensure a proper transition. The dates that I've set forth here will allow that to happen, because by January 26th, the governor will have filed House 1, which we will then know what the local aid numbers are as to how we can structure that into the overall operation of the town budget. And as we all know, the selectmen have already taken the votes as to how the warrant will be structured and how the override ballot, we've already called for a special election, and the ballot will be by department. We're trying to formulate those numbers, and we won't know that till after the governor files her budget. By that point, we'll know our free cash number, so everything is going to be gelling together on or around that period of time. I would then propose that the selectmen then meet a week later on or around the first week of February for the purposes of interviewing the finalists and hopefully making a final selection and coming to a conclusion as to who the final town manager would be, so that we can hit the ground in terms of the financial aspect of the town going forward. Now, some people may disagree with the dates involved, but I would say to everyone, we have a town to run. We have to be mindful of that as well as the complexity of this process. I think going forward, and based on my experience, I think that the dates that I've set forth here will work. The other thing that we have to be mindful of in recruiting people, we're up against other communities that are doing searches now. We have Harwich, Norfolk, Cohasset, Mansfield, Norton, to name a few, that some of those are higher-end towns that are willing to pay a lot more money. So we're faced with that recruitment issue as well. So that's why I said we can't dilly-dally. We have to get out there and get rolling on this thing from that standpoint. So having said all of that, my motion, I can encapsulate it, basically is that we designate, and then I'm going to make a motion also that the chairman and vice chairman of the Board of Selectmen serve on the search committee. So that will leave us 3 residents to appoint. I think it's very important. We've got enough of officialdom on the committee. The school committee has representation, the finance committee has representation. It makes no sense to me at all that the selectmen wouldn't have representation, so that's part of my motion. And I'm going to say this as far as I'm concerned. As far as the remaining people that we would appoint, I'm looking for, and I think we have to be mindful in looking to the future of the community, to involve people that haven't been involved before. And I've made this comment to the town moderator recently that we're getting up there in age, as much as we would not like to admit it, and we've got to get people that are younger to get more involved in the community. And I think this, we've got to set that bar, and we've also got to try and bring in people that haven't been involved before. The standard that I'm going to use to vote for anybody that makes application is that no employee, I'm not going to vote for an employee to go on for obvious reasons. I'm not going to vote for somebody that's already serving in the community or has served in the community and in a position. I want people on the street, it's their town, and I want, at least as far as I'm concerned, I want their participation, at the table for this important decision too. So, again, to encapsulate everything, the motion is to establish a 7-member committee pursuant to the charter, a member of the school committee appointed by it, a member of the finance committee appointed by it, the chairman and vice chairman of the Board of Selectmen, and then there will be 3 residents that will be appointed at a special meeting of the Board of Selectmen on December 23rd. The search committee will convene the day after the applications are due on Tuesday, January 6th at 7 p.m. For the purposes of organizing, part of the motion is to designate the chairman of the Board of Selectmen to sit as the chairman of the search committee for the purposes of organizational, calling the first meeting only, and then the committee can determine how it wishes to organize itself. And then request that the committee report back to the board before January 26th, if possible. And then with the idea being that the Board of Selectmen would then meet the first week in February at a time and a date that's convenient for all of us for the purposes of interviewing the finalists. The difference between the final report of the search committee and the selectmen interviewing will be enough time to allow us to do cursory reviews of the applicants before us, so we have an idea of what their background is, and we've been able to vet them in an initial stage anyway. So, that's my motion.
Motion's made. I just want to hit the dates again so they're clear for everybody. So applications for the search committee are due by December 15th.
Correct.
Appointment of the search committee will be done on December 23rd by the board. Deadline for town manager applications will be January 5th, 2026. First meeting of the search committee will be January 6th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Recommendation of 3 finalists to the Board of Selectmen by the search committee we'd like to see by January 26th of 26. And then the Board of Selectmen will do interviews and vote for a permanent town manager, looking at, I think you said probably the first week of February?
Correct.
Okay. Motion made by Select Board Member Donovan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion by the board? All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous.
Okay, if I could, Mr. Chairman, just to reiterate and ratify, if we could, the ad that was placed for the search committee, the select board, I'll be very quick. The select board is seeking applications from residents to be appointed to the town manager search committee. The committee, in accordance with the town charter, is comprised of 7 members, of which are 5 residents and 1 member of the finance committee appointed by it, and 1 member of the school committee appointed by it. It is anticipated that the work of this committee will be done in executive session, as is allowed under the general laws. And since meetings may be long in length, ideally, the committee will best operate in daytime meetings, either during the week or weekend, depending on the member's schedule. Applications will be received by Monday, December 15th, 2025. Persons interested are requested to file interest with online application or by a letter addressed to the select board. That's my motion.
Motion made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous.
And lastly, I just want to reiterate, as far as the qualifications for the town manager, reading from the charter, that the town manager shall be a person especially fitted by education, which shall consist of at least a bachelor's degree from an accredited degree-granted college or university, and his or her professional experience shall include at least 5 years of full-time compensated service in a managerial capacity in public or business administration. The town manager shall not have served in an elected office in the town of Abington for at least 24 months prior to his or her appointment. The town manager need not be a resident of the town or the Commonwealth, but must be a United States citizen. So that's in accordance with the charter. If there's any elected officials that have a desire, well, you can't do it. You've got to be out of office for 2 years. In ratifying the ad that is already on the Mass Municipal website, town manager, Town of Abington, the Town of Abington, Massachusetts, population 17,062, is seeking a town manager to serve as the chief administrative officer of the town. Abington is located 20 miles south of Boston and was incorporated in 1712. The town is governed by a 5-member select board and an open town meeting. The town manager is charged, per the town charter, with the day-to-day administration of the town and has broad responsibilities over personnel and daily operations, reporting to the select board, who governs through policy directives. The town of Abington has an FY26 operating budget of $71.8 million, inclusive of the school department, and enjoys a bond rating of AA. Like a great many of Massachusetts municipalities, Abington will have a challenging time with the FY27 budget. The Select Board has already set a special election to consider an override by a menu approach for each department to achieve level services, and the warrant for the 2026 annual town meeting will be structured to level fund departments and a contingent appropriation to achieve level service funding, subject to a ballot vote. In accordance with the town charter, the town manager need not be a resident of the town or the Commonwealth, but must be a citizen of the United States and possess at least a bachelor's degree and have 5 years of full-time compensated managerial experience in either public or business environment. Interested applicants should send a PDF copy of their resume with a cover letter contained in one document addressed to the Select Board to abingtontownmanager@gmail.com. A search committee of 7 residents will review the applications, interview selected candidates, and report finalists to the Select Board for final interviews and selection. Application deadline is 4 p.m. on Monday, January 5th, 2026. That's my motion.
Motion made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Before we wrap up, anything from anybody out there? Except for Sean Riley? Mr. Riley, town moderator, elderly?
Aging. Sean Riley, we're at 271 Dorsey Street, town moderator. I just want to use this opportunity to expand on what you're saying about the importance of trying to get involved. We do have a 9-member all-volunteer finance committee. We have 2 vacancies on the finance committee right now, and we would greatly appreciate some more residents to step forward and volunteer for that committee. It's going to be a very important committee in the coming months as we set our budget. No experience needed. But if you're interested, you can either contact myself, Sean Riley, or any member of the Board of Selectmen, or Matt Saller, our current chairman. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Town Moderator. Anybody else? We want to welcome Mike Maresco as our interim town manager. He's here. Several of our town people are in the audience, so I'm glad that they could make it on, I think I gave everyone 20 minutes notice, so they can meet Mike. And again, before we wrap up and adjourn, I want to say thank you to Scott for what he's done for the town, and that Kingston vacancy is filled. So, anyway, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you.